6 o'clock news starts right now.
We begin with new information on a death investigation in Seguin. A man's body was found at a boat ramp along I-10 over the weekend. Police saying now evidence from the scene indicates that the victim, 51-year-old Santos Betulio Romero Hernandez, likely was not alone when he died. Hernandez's body was found early Saturday morning in the 2800 block of I-10 West.
Investigators say Hernandez appears to have suffered blunt force trauma to the head, and evidence suggests someone else was there. Investigators asking if anyone has any information on what happened there to call the Guadalupe County Crime Stoppers. That number 1-877-403-8477.
It is a call that no parent ever wants to receive, but one mother did early Sunday morning. And now she's talking about the loss of her 19-year-old daughter as police search for her killer.
It all played out at a busy intersection. Deannie Thomas was one of her best friends. Kennedy Brazil died Sunday after they were shot inside their car at Loop 410 in Blanco. A third woman was also wounded. They were celebrating their recent graduation. Deannie's mother tells our RJ Marquez she has no idea why someone would do this to her daughter and her friends.
My worst nightmare came to reality.
Valerie Thomas says she received a call early Sunday morning, shortly after her daughter, Deannie, had been shot after a night out celebrating with her friends.
About 5 in the morning, I heard about it, but I didn't know what condition she was in.
Thomas soon learned that Deannie and one of her best friends, Kennedy Brazil, had died in the shooting near Blanco and Loop 410. Another young woman with them was also shot. Castle Hills police described the shooting as a senseless and violent act.
Something that those young ladies did not deserve. They were all 18, 19. They were all ready to start their new lives as adults.
Valerie told us her family had moved out of San Antonio, but her daughter had returned to finish school and get her diploma.
She had dreams of going to the Air Force. She was just a beautiful, happy, loving person.
Deannie was a mother herself and leaves behind a young daughter and an infant son.
I'm going to let them know how much she loved them. I'm going to let them know, that she was taking steps to secure their future.
The shooting remains under investigation, and police have not released any information on possible suspects. Valerie does not understand who would do this and is asking for the public's help.
She didn't put her hands on anybody. There's no trace of violence that can add up to the amount of bullets y'all put in her car. It's just heartbreaking and devastating. To have to set up arrangements for your own children.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
3 weeks after the Uvalde massacre, we are learning more on law enforcement's response to the active shooter. Claims are now being made that more than a dozen state troopers were on the scene as the carnage unfolded. The information coming straight from the top of DPS. That's according to State Senator Gutierrez, who tells us that DPS Director Steve McGraw said not only were there 2 to 13 DPS officers inside Robb Elementary during the shooting rampage, but that they were also properly equipped.
But I was told that they had 3 ballistic shields and that there was sufficient ammunition, equipment, and manpower to breach the river.
DPS officials say Gutierrez's claims are inaccurate. They sent us a statement this afternoon. It reads in part, quote, more than a dozen DPS personnel were on campus assisting with the evacuation during the course of the incident and at times exited the hallway. Although Gutierrez didn't specify what those officers were doing while they were there, adding active shooter protocol was not followed and that it would have trumped any other protocol, including that of incident commander. We're going to be speaking live with the state senator coming up in our next half hour.
New at 6 after the Uvalde shooting, like after many other mass shootings, mental health becomes a topic of discussion. But that discussion can be vague. So we went to the experts. Courtney Friedman asked them about a correlation between mental health and mass shootings and what help their field actually needs.
2 different psychiatrists from 2 different health systems focusing on 2 different patient groups.
I am a child and adolescent psychiatrist by training.
I'm a psychiatric consultant to the emergency department.
Yet they have the same stance.
Do you think that mental health care, increased care and funding could stop mass shootings in the future?
Well, I really want to get away from linking mental health and mental health care to tragedies like we've had recently.
I think that they're 2 separate conversations. I think that there's much much good that can be done, but the vast majority of school shooters do not have a diagnosable mental illness. People who have a mental illness are more likely to be victims rather than the perpetrators of violence.
Dr. Jessica Sandoval with UT Health San Antonio says regardless, she's grateful a much-needed light is being cast on mental health care.
Regardless of violent tendencies or not, what we need is greater funding to be able to have mental health parity so that we have more doctors who are able to afford taking insurance, and that would help, reduce some of the wait times.
They can wait 3 to 6 months to get an appointment. The level of services and staffing are based on some of the funding issues.
Dr. Christopher L. Wallace with University Health says that's only for people who have actually been brave enough to seek help.
The bottom line, there is help out there. If you have a primary care physician, start there. If you have insurance, a lot of times they have employee assistance programs. And if not, there are free programs out there through places like NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Recently, Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez announced his initiatives to curb gun violence in the county. One of those initiatives was to have his attorneys file motions in court to have guns destroyed, something that isn't actually new. Erica Hernandez with how this works inside a courtroom and why it's not always easy for a judge to rule in favor of a gun being destroyed.
It is unfortunate.
Just days after District Attorney Joe Gonzalez announced his initiatives to curb gun violence in Bexar County, assistant district attorneys were heard in courtrooms filing motions to have guns used in crimes destroyed.
I do have a motion I'd like the court to consider. I've showed opposing counsel. I'm now tendering it to the court. It's a motion to destroy the weapon for the weapon that was seized.
In this specific aggravated robbery case, the judge granted the motion.
Any objection to the destruction of the weapon?
Not from us, Your Honor.
The court will grant the state's motion to destroy the weapon.
But not every case is this easy to rule on.
If there's an issue where the parties do not agree, then that particular judge will just look at the case and decide what is fair.
While District Attorney Joe Gonzalez is pushing for all guns to be destroyed, Judge Hill further explains why judges can't necessarily always rule in favor of these motions.
It's very hard to issue these blanket policies that apply across the board. Not that anybody agrees or does not agree with them, but every case assigned to a court requires that a judge looks at that case individually. Judges ethically are not allowed to prejudge cases.
And as far as these motions go, it isn't something new.
The district attorney's office has always had the ability to file whatever motions they want.
What happens after guns are motioned to be destroyed? Well, according to Judge Hill, that usually is handed over to the sheriff's office. As far as how many guns have been destroyed since Joe Gonzalez took office in 2018, we were told the district attorney's office does not keep track of that number, so we've reached out to the sheriff's office to try to find that out. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
A twice-fired San Antonio police officer accused of sending a woman explicit photos, including her own intimate pictures, has lost his latest attempt to get his job back. In a decision that was dated Friday, an arbitrator denied Javier Perales Jr.'s appeal of his indefinite suspension. That's tantamount to firing. The arbitrator ruled there was enough evidence to show that Javier Perales Jr. was behind the anonymous messages to a woman with whom he'd previously had a one-night stand.
And the arbitrator recognized that in the opinion. I mean, she clearly recognized that simply because he was not, pursued under, beyond a reasonable doubt standard did not mean that he could not be disciplined for the conduct.
Perales had received another indefinite suspension shortly before this one, but the punishment for that was downgraded in a separate appeal. Our attempts to get comment from his attorneys were unsuccessful.
New information in connection with a deadly hit and run from this past weekend. The Bexar County Medical Examiner identifying a man hit and killed on the northeast side as 41-year-old Adrian Martinez. According to police, Martinez was found in the 6400 block of the I-35 access road around 3:30 in the morning. They say he was riding a bicycle when he was hit. Despite first responders' efforts to save him, Martinez was pronounced dead at the scene. Whoever was behind the wheel took off after the accident. So far, no word of any arrests in this case. San Antonio police believe speed may have played a factor in a deadly crash overnight on the southeast side. It happened just before midnight near South Presa and Natchez Trail. They say the man was heading south when he hit the median and lost control of his car and hit a telephone pole. The driver ejected was pronounced dead at the scene. He has not been identified.
Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. Not so much a traffic tie-up to tell you about, but certainly some trouble along the roads. You see that dark patch of grass. That's a brush fire. The crews are out there cleaning up, of course, watching for any hot spots. It's not actively burning right now. This is at I-35 in Randolph. That's where the camera is. On the northeast side, this is right here by the 35-410 interchange. But you can see that first responders there on the scene, making sure there's no hot spots that flare up because of this grass fire that they're cleaning up here at 410 and 35. The San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum, or SACAM, is offering a way for people to preserve the history of Juneteenth in San Antonio. The museum will be hosting a Juneteenth history harvest. People can stop by and either scan or donate things like photographs, newspaper clippings, yearbooks. People can also record their own stories in an audio booth. The event is a chance to get a look at how Juneteenth has been celebrated in San Antonio over the years.
This is a chance to continue that story and so that the young people and those who weren't around in those days can see how that was practiced and have an appreciation.
The Juneteenth History Harvest will be this Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Comanche Park. For more information about the event or making those donations, just call 210-724-3350.
Take a live look outside right now with live cam. All right, usually in this time, we've hit a streak of triple digits.
Yeah.
You'd wonder, when is it going to end? I'm just hoping the answer isn't October.
Oof. Well, we are technically not going to hit 100 tomorrow probably, so the streak will end tomorrow, but beyond that, it's going to stay hot. Now, unfortunately, the aquifer is down more than a foot over the past 24 hours, continues to fall rapidly. We need a good drink of water. As far as the allergens go, there's mold out there. It's low, but of course, there is also Saharan dust. And we're expecting the Saharan dust to pick up a bit over the coming days. 97 outside right now, but look at that wind gust of 39 miles per hour. It's going to be windy and warm tonight. Not too bad with temperatures in the 80s. Coming up, a bit of a pattern shift tomorrow, keeping us from hitting 100 and providing a slight, very slight chance for a shower or two. All that forecast coming up.
I'm Stefania Jimenez. Protecting the innocent or preventing the truth from coming out. Tonight on the Night Beat, how a loophole in Texas law could impact the Uvalde shooting investigation. The arguments being made for and against closing it. And you may have seen those empty shelves. There's a shortage of tampons and pads. Who's stepping in to provide those necessities in San Antonio? We'll see you for these stories and more tonight on the Night Beat.
All right. Thank you, Stefania. Okay. Outside today, not 100 right now, and at least the air's moving, right?
Yeah. It's wind. You got some wind out there.
It's something.
Yeah.
Feels like a hairdryer, but
hey,
it's all right.
It's something.
It's something. It actually is not going to be all that bad tonight, guys, because of the wind and temperatures falling into the 80s. But we did hit 100 degrees today for the 14th time this year. I do think we're going to struggle to get to 100 tomorrow. I want to show you the almanac for the day today. 100 for the high. Yep, no rain. That's more of the same for us too. And our low this morning was warmer than average too. So it was a fairly humid day. That 100 felt more like 102 during the peak heating of the day. But there is something right over Mexico and the Rio Grande right now. You can see it in the water vapor imagery. A low pressure system that is going to keep the clouds around tomorrow, which is, again, the reason why I think we're going to struggle to get to 100 degrees. We're still going to be hot, but we're going to struggle to get to that century mark. Now, because, unfortunately, that high pressure system is so dominant, in any other case, this could potentially have brought us some good rain. But instead, what we're going to see tomorrow is, more clouds in the morning, fairly overcast, and perhaps one stray shower. That's the best we can do right now. 10% chance for a stray shower pretty much throughout the day, and especially west of San Antonio, west of that I-35 corridor. But even if you get some rain, and that's a big if, It's not going to amount to much, unfortunately. But hey, it's something, 10% chance tomorrow. Otherwise, it is still going to be hot, even though it may not technically get to 100. 78 early tomorrow morning with that 10% chance of a stray shower in the morning all the way through the afternoon. It's going to be windy, south winds about 15 to 20, gusting up to 30 miles per hour. So at least we'll have that hair dryer tomorrow. 90 degrees at noon, partly cloudy skies in the afternoon. A lot like today, but even just a little bit more cloud cover out there, and then 98 for the high temperature. Some neighborhoods, though, especially south of San Antonio, will still hit 100 degrees. And then in the evening, 87, right around 10 o'clock. Once again, we're going to have that wind. Winds are going to gust from the south-southeast at about 30 miles per hour. So not quite as strong as today, but with us throughout the day and once again picking up in the evening hours. Here's a look at those neighborhood forecast highs. If you live in Bulverde, Bernie, Helotes, Comfort, Kerrville, your temperatures are going to be closer to average in the low to mid 90s tomorrow because of that little extra cloud cover. It'll be 98 in New Braunfels, 98 in Seguin, 100 in Devine, 99 in Uvalde, and 98 in Utopia. Now, I do got to say this, the humidity, it's going to stay fairly high tomorrow. So that 98 still going to feel like 101 in San Antonio tomorrow in the afternoon. It'll feel like 102 in Floresville, feel like 100 in Uvalde, and feel closer to 100 in Bandera. So let's take a look at the big picture across the nation. We got the tale of two stories, okay? The Pacific Northwest and parts of the northern tier of the United States actually dealing with a lot cooler weather and plenty of rainfall as well, flooding rains. But as I've mentioned, this heat high is the dominant weather system of the two. So much so that this heat high is sending the heat all the way up to Minneapolis. It's 94 degrees in Minneapolis with a heat index of 107, 96 in Chicago. It's almost as hot in Chicago as it is right now in San Antonio because of this heat high. And even though it's off to the east, right now, it is going to be moving back over to the west. So we'll be at 98 tomorrow with that heat high off to the east. But as it pushes back over Texas, 101 once again by Thursday. We'll be at 100 degrees on Friday. I went ahead and turned off the temperatures here for a second because some of our computer models are showing a stray shower possible on Friday and Saturday, but it's still going to be hot, and that's only a 10% chance. At this point, I'm counting those 10% chance days because we need some rain. Unfortunately, it's not going to be good rain. And that Saharan dust is going to thicken up a bit. By Thursday, we'll see a fairly dense plume of Saharan dust in the air. If you are sensitive to the dust, Thursday is going to be a day you're going to want to look out for. And I'll have a better look at that Saharan dust forecast coming up in the next half hour. Otherwise, on Father's Day and Juneteenth, it's going to be 100 degrees. So hot for Father's Day, guys.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
At a certain point, you have to wonder if the Cleveland Browns knew what they were getting into.
Well, I think in part they did because of their pay structure for this coming season. They expected him not to be around most of the season. But when it comes to what's happened more recently, Desean Watson is now speaking out after word has leaked out that 2 more lawsuits are going to be filed. And after that very damning New York Times story, we'll hear from him. And how do you get tickets to the KSAT Pigskin Classic? We'll let you know coming up.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Cleveland Browns quarterback Desean Watson is speaking out on the very day that attorney Tony Busby confirms that 2 more lawsuits are being filed against a former Houston Texans quarterback for sexual assault and misconduct during massages, bringing the total number to 26. This comes following a report by the New York Times. It says Watson had massages with 66 different women over a period of 19 months, and the Houston Texans knowingly or not enabled him by providing him with access to the exclusive Estonian resort and non-disclosure agreements as early as 2020. Watson chose to speak today during the opening of the Browns mandatory minicamp to clear up a previous comment made back in March that he said he had no regrets.
That question kind of, triggered a lot of people, not just women in general, but a lot of people from this, in the league, from women to males and things like that. And what I was saying is, yes, I never assaulted, disrespected, or harassed anyone. But at the same time, I do understand that I do have regrets as far as the impact that it's had on the community and people outside of just myself. and that includes my family, that includes this organization, that includes my teammates in this locker room that have to answer to these questions, that includes, the fan base of the Cleveland Browns, that includes males, females, everyone across the world, so that's one thing I do regret is the impact that it's have triggered on so many people.
While Watson maintains his innocence and is facing no criminal charges, there are mounting calls in the Cleveland area for the Browns to part ways with Watson. With Desean Watson out of the way, the Houston Texans can begin a clean slate in rebuilding their team that has only posted 8 wins in the last 2 seasons. This season will mark only the second season as starting quarterback for Davis Mills, who played in 13 games as a rookie, starting 11, throwing for 2,664 yards, almost 67% completion rate, 16 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. How will this year be different after he was sacked 31 times last season?
We've brought in a lot of guys with a lot of experience. I feel like everyone's really bought into what we're trying to do out here. I feel like we've really set the standard for how we want to treat things around this building and how we want to go at things, practice and working out wise, meeting wise. So I feel like we're in a really good spot, and we have a lot of good leaders on the team who are leading the team in that direction.
Texans also did a great job in the draft that included drafting Aggie offensive lineman Kenyon Green, who was number 15 overall pick, to help curb that sack problem. If you would like to be a part of our first annual KSAT Pigskin Classic, that will feature 6 area high school football teams competing in 3 separate games, all inside the Alamo Dome on Saturday, August the 27th. Here's how. Tickets are now on sale at all Las Palapas locations, and just $15 for all 3 games, starting at 11:30 with Smithson Valley against Reagan, followed by Judson and Johnson at 3:30, and the nightcap between Steele and Brennan at 7:30. You can go to KSAT.com, check out the QR code as well if you would like it. If you can't be there, you watch it all live right here on KSAT 12. The PGA Hope, which introduces golf to all veterans to enhance the mental, social, physical, and emotional well-being, has instruction sessions starting this Wednesday and running through July 20th, and will add locations that include the Hyatt Hill Country, TPC San Antonio, and Fort Sam, to name a few.
It's a 6-week program that is free for any veteran. HOPE stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere. It's a program designed by the PGA of America to introduce golf back to veterans who might be struggling with PTSD, physical disabilities.
What a great program. For more information, you can go to stpgareach.org/Mac Wiley Golf Center to help not only get more information, but also to sign up. Registration, they say, is filling up fast.
Great program.
It is.
Sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Greg.
You got it.
Our KSAT Q&A with State Senator Roland Gutierrez is up next.
It is a story that the San Antonio Express News and we here at KSAT had last night. State Senator Roland Gutierrez sharing details about that day in Uvalde when the gunman opened fire inside a classroom. DPS officials telling him that between 2 to 13 officers, DPS troopers, were in that building at any given time while that gunman was opening fire on the classroom. State Senator Roland Gutierrez joins us now live for our KSAT Q&A. State Senator, since then, you've kind of been at the center of this swirl of information and then taking it back and then going forward. I mean, what does all this say to you?
Yeah, it's such a big concern, Steve, because, from the beginning, we've been very transparent with people. We've been very truthful. Those conversations that I had with Steve McCraw, at first, they were considered private conversations, but, in the lapse of time, we've gotten no information from DPS. And so I've been sharing them with the public. I mean, there was no reason why I shouldn't. When they closed this investigation down for this so-called criminal investigation, when they closed down all the briefings, I felt compelled to start telling people what actually went on. As you know, this morning, DPS said that what I had said was false. They later took that back. I think that we had given them ample evidence and information to show them that I was right. And so they have since tried to claw back what they've said about me. It's a big concern for me because I don't want this story to be about me. It needs to be about these children and these families and about law enforcement's failure to go in as quickly as they should have.
And DPS has said today that those 2 to 13 officers that were on campus at that time, they were evacuating students and staff. They said that it was not as perhaps depicted, in their opinion, officers being hunkered down outside of the classroom. However, in your conversations with the head of DPS, Steve McCraw, is it correct that he said he regrets standing down during this situation?
He said specifically that DPS will never stand down to another law enforcement entity again.
So does that give you, and I want to clarify here, because as this information about what has happened has really been piecemealed together over the last several weeks, we've heard from the Uvalde ISD police chief who said that he did not know he was the incident commander. In your conversations with the head of DPS, was the Uvalde ISD supposed to be in command?
Well, you have these competing narratives, and DPS will have us think that he was supposed to be in command, but at the same time, they leak out through their own officers. They leak out the information to the New York Times that Arredondo doesn't have his radios. So if he doesn't have his radios, then how then does he make himself the incident commander? How is that? How does he communicate orders to anyone? And so certainly a lot of negligence that went on all sides, from the ISD cops, from the sheriffs, from the police, from DPS. At some point, we just need to own up to our mistakes and errors, tell the community what truly happened here, and get to the bottom of this. It just keeps becoming one, false story after another, pointing fingers. For a while, they blamed a teacher for leaving the door open for a week. This poor lady had to go off and hire a lawyer and say, I closed the door. DPS owes us more than this. We spent $4 billion in this region. Many of those Operation Lone Star troopers were at the scene. They certainly should have gone in quickly. DPS has said that. McCraw has said that. And they erred. But for them to hide behind this criminal investigation and to make accusations like they did from me today, that suggesting that I'm lying, is just, it's uncalled for. And it's not fair. It's not fair to the Texas public.
I don't know, Senator, that we have seen an investigation like this. I mean, unfortunately, we've had several mass shooting incidents, and we've seen a lot of updates, and we kind of had a general idea. I can think of like 48 hours after the incident of what happened, how it actually played out. We still have a lot of he said, she said kind of going on. I mean, even with the Uvalde DA and with the mayor and then with, all of these entities that are taking place. How do we get to this point?
All of this community wants to do is a couple of things. These parents want to heal. Certainly they need and deserve answers. About 3 children probably bled out and might have been saved. And so those families deserve to know what occurred. Why we're here, I haven't the slightest clue. I don't know why the district attorney has suddenly created this criminal investigation so that everybody can hide behind her, not tell us the truth. I guess you'd have to ask her. But yes, this weekend, she put out a letter in the Uvalde News Leader that her investigation is going to take 6 to 8 months. The perpetrator's dead. Unless she's going to go off and indict all of the cops at the scene, I don't understand what we're even talking about. I'm not even asking about criminality, if there was co-conspirators that we don't know about, or social media threats that we don't know about, or anything. I'm not talking about that. I want to see operational logistics. I need to see the operational logistics as to what we know. We deserve it. I think we froze up.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but we got the gist of what you said. And you're talking about Christina Busby, who is the district attorney in Uvalde County.
And you mentioned this earlier, Senator, that this is about those 21 lives that were lost, 19 children who were gunned down in a classroom, 2 teachers who died trying to protect them. And as this information continues to come out and it's conflicting and it's confusing, that's who I think about, these families who are dealing with an unimaginable loss. And now, how do you try to move forward as you learn that not all the information is known exactly about what happened? And I want to know what you think we do going forward. You continue to release this information that either hasn't been publicly released yet or at the very least clarified. What do we do with that as this investigation moves forward and we continue looking for answers?
Well, I've released everything that I've known over the last several weeks in a timely fashion. I had been talking about these 13 officers in this hallway, troopers, for some time now. What I need to do is to make sure that my constituents have the resources that government has to offer, to make sure that they have the healthcare resources, the financial resources that are important to them. I'm going to continue to do that. These folks need to know that they have a new friend, someone that loves them and someone that cares for them. We need a lot more love in this state for sure, and I know that sounds flippant, but it's the truth. And while we keep hiding behind these things, these unanswered questions, we're never going to be able to get to the bottom of this so that we can allow these families to heal. And they need that. Uvalde deserves it.
State Senator, I want to ask you I want to ask you one more quick question because we're running out of time here. We're out of time, but are you concerned that we're never going to get some of those answers? I know there's a loophole that was talked about in the El Paso shooting, that they're never going to release the body cam footage because the shooter is deceased. And there's a lot of concern that there's a state loophole that will protect law enforcement from ever having to release some of this video and some of the details about what happened inside. Are you concerned that we may never get the full picture?
Very much. Yesterday, we saw a report from Vice News where DPS is asking the Attorney General's office to hide the body cam footage which, by the way, gives us the situational awareness, because they say that future perpetrators would know DPS's weaknesses in their protocols. I think by now we all know their weaknesses. I want to know where those DPS troopers were in those rooms, in those hallways, where they were situated outside, and how long they were there and when they got there.
Senator Roland Gutierrez, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Look outside with live cam, 95 degrees right now. We've got dust, we've got humidity, we've got heat. We got it all, don't we, Sam?
We'll add in a little wind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We can stir that dust around.
Exactly.
We have got it all, guys. And, there's a few things that we need to talk about. We'll be just shy of 100 degrees tomorrow with a very small chance for rain tomorrow as well. And that Saharan dust is going to increase over the next few days. So we'll be talking about that coming up in just a bit.
It looks like Google has suspended an engineer who claimed one of its AI systems had gained consciousness. The unreleased artificial intelligence system is called Lambda. That stands for Language Model for Dialogue Applications. These kinds of systems can write and answer questions in ways that seem human.
The engineer, Blake Lemoine, actually reportedly told the Washington Post he gave Google evidence that Lambda was sentient. In a statement, Google said it reviewed Lemoine's concerns and told him the evidence didn't support his claim. Last week, he posted on a Medium that Google put him on paid administrative leave. A Google spokesperson confirmed that.
Okay, that's a little freaky, right?
Yeah.
I promise you that our weather system is not sentient.
Good. I'm relieved at that.
But hey, you know what, guys? We're not going to hit 100 tomorrow.
Got that going for us?
That's a
small
plus.
steps.
Is it going to feel like 100 because of the humidity? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But hey, it's something at this point. Okay, we did get up to 100 though today. Today made the 14th day this year that we've seen triple digits in San Antonio, the most this early in the season. So we are well on our way to see the hottest June on record. All right, take a look at the satellite and the temperatures. One thing you'll notice is that clouds are on the increase around San Antonio and around south central Texas. It's 94 in Pleasanton, 98 in Hondo, 93 in Kerrville, 95 in New Braunfels. A closer view here, you can really see that it's pretty much overcast in Floresville and Pleasanton right now. And these clouds are going to come and go, mostly cloudy, partly cloudy skies in the the overnight hours. But this increase in cloud cover is a good indication of this little swirl in the atmosphere that you can see really clearly in the water vapor imagery here. This swirl in the atmosphere is why we're not going to hit 100 degrees tomorrow. We're going to see an increase of cloud cover through the day tomorrow, and even perhaps a stray shower. Now, the chance for rain is not good. It is 10%, but there could be a stray shower, especially west of San Antonio and west of I-35 tomorrow. Again, chance for rain is only 10%, so that's a 90% chance that it's not going to rain in your backyard. And even if you're lucky and get a shower, it is not going to amount to much. By lunch, we'll start to see those clouds break up a bit, and into the afternoon, it'll be partly cloudy. And again, those folks west of San Antonio have a better chance for rain, but not a great chance, more along the lines of 10 to 20% west of San Antonio. Your KSAT 12-hour forecast, waking up early in the morning, heading out and about. It's going to be humid, it's going to be warm, but if you want to go for a walk or want to go for a run, the morning hours are the times to do that, especially for your pups and your dogs, because you won't have to worry about any of that heat making the asphalt even hotter outside. Okay, by 10, we'll be looking at temperatures in the 80s, and as we head into the afternoon, that's when temperatures are going to warm up into the 90s. It'll be 90 around the lunch hour. South winds tomorrow, much like today, are going to be windy. We're going to have winds from the south sustained at 15 to 20, gusting up to 25 to even 30 miles per hour. And yeah, you don't see any triple digits here. We're going to hit 98 for the high temperature tomorrow. That is still hot. Can your body really tell the difference between 98 and 100 degrees? Probably not, but at this point it's a mental thing, right? For us, we're not going to hit 100 tomorrow. 97 in Canyon Lake, 99 in Hondo, 99 in Uvalde, 100 though in Eagle Pass, and 101 in Carrizo Springs out to the west. And a closer metro view here, look at the neighborhoods. It'll be 97 in Converse, 98 in Seguin, 99 in Castroville, 99 in Hondo. Hill Country, it's not going to be too bad. 94 in Bulverde, 94 in Bernie, 95 in Comfort. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that the Saharan dust is going to be increasing tomorrow. It'll be moderate tomorrow, and then by Thursday, we're actually going to have a fairly dense plume of Saharan dust overhead. And so if you have respiratory issues, Thursday is a day that you're going to want to watch out for. If you're particularly sensitive to the dust, allergies, Thursday is a big day for that Saharan dust. It'll start to fall, but still be pretty prevalent on Friday. And then by the weekend, very light Saharan dust, not really going to impact the weather too much on Saturday and Sunday. This heat high, Big Blue Bully, it is large and in charge around south central Texas. Right now it has moved on off to the east slightly. And so once again, that's why we're going to shave off a couple of degrees tomorrow, but it's going to build right back in over the next several days. So by Thursday, we'll be at 101, and pretty much through the weekend and into early next week, our high temperature is going to be right near 100 degrees, well above average. So just to recap everything for you, windy tomorrow, windy Thursday, that's Saharan dust sticking around until Friday. A slight chance for a stray shower tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. And then for Sunday, Father's Day and Juneteenth, it's going to be 100 degrees, even hotter as we head into early next week. Steve, Myra.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
I told Sarah last night at 10, or after the basketball game, I'm going to be the guy out there Sunday grilling.
Oh, the guy. You may be the one.
No, there'll be lots of dads out there. I'm predicting. Grin and bear it. In case you missed it, coming up next. Here's today's In Case You Missed It.
It is Tuesday. It is June 14th.
Local, state, and federal law enforcement swarmed Robb Elementary as an active shooter took 21 lives. According to State Senator Gutierrez, he was informed by DPS Director Steve McCraw that up to 13 state troopers were inside the school at any given time and that they were properly equipped.
But I was told that they had 3 ballistic shields and that there was sufficient ammunition, equipment, and manpower to breach the river.
In a statement, DPS officials say Gutierrez's claims are inaccurate and wrong, adding they did have more than a dozen state troopers on campus, but that they were assisting in evacuating students and teachers.
Valerie Thomas says she received a call early Sunday morning, shortly after her daughter, Deani, had been shot after a night out celebrating with her friends.
About 5 in the morning, I heard about it, but I didn't know what condition she was in.
Thomas soon learned that Deani and one of her best friends, Kennedy Brazil, had died in the shooting near Blanco and Loop 410. men. Another young woman with them was also shot. Castle Hills police described the shooting as a senseless and violent act.
The Texas Rangers investigating a fatal shooting in Seguin. That's where a man was killed by Guadalupe County Sheriff's deputies last night. In a Facebook post, the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office says the man and woman were arguing in the front yard. The man pulled a gun and shot the woman, so deputies fired in return, killing him. The woman is currently at BAMC. She's expected to be okay. The man's name has not been released yet.
Thick smoke clouds the air outside a home in the 100 block of Rio Vista. Inside, it appears it clogged it, making it impossible for a woman who lived here to breathe.
Unfortunately, as we were inside the house fighting the fire, we did find a deceased victim.
The home had no smoke detectors, a warning system that could have made a difference.
News around America: an abortion rights caravan beginning with a rally today outside the Texas State Supreme Court. The group says it plans to stop for events in Houston Wednesday and Jackson, Mississippi on Friday.
The caravan, organized by a coalition of more than 150 reproductive rights groups and abortion providers. Organizers say it's trying to raise the alarm about the growing threats to abortion access. It's in response to Texas banning most abortions after 6 weeks last year, and the recently leaked draft U.S. Supreme Court memo outlining a majority opinion that could overturn Roe versus Wade.
Only a 10% chance for a stray shower tomorrow, but we will shave off a few degrees from that high. 98 for the high, but then we're back to 101 on Thursday. Saharan dust in the air until Friday. Over the weekend, we're going to be near 100 degrees.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you for watching the news at 6.
See you on the Night Beat at 10 tonight.